Welcome students. Today we are going to discuss about the Keynes psychological law of consumption. Keynes propounded the fundamental psychological law of consumption. He stated that the fundamental psychological law upon which we are entitled to depend with great confidence both prior from our knowledge of human nature and from the detailed facts of experience is that men are disposed as a rule and on the average to increase their consumption as their income increases, but not by as much as the increase in their income. So if income increase, the consumption also not increasing the same level. They are not spending all the income for consumption. The law implies that there is a tendency on the part of the people to spend on consumption less than the full increment of income. So income is increasing day by day. Then also the consumption is not increasing that much of, say, equal level of income. Who is propounded this? Who propounded this? Keynes propounded this psychological law of consumption. Keynes law is based on the following assumption. What is the first assumption? Ceteris paribus, or we can say other things being equal or constant extraneous variables. The other variables such as income, distribution, taste, habits, social customs, price movements, population growth, etc. do not change and consumption depends on income alone. That is called other things being equal or ceteris paribus. Next assumption is existence of normal conditions. The law holds good under normal conditions. If, however, the economy is faced with abnormal and extraordinary circumstances like war, revolution, or hyperinflation, the law will not operate. People may spend the whole of increased income on consumption. Existence of laissez-faire capitalist economy. The law operates in a rich capitalist economy where there is no government intervention. People should be free to spend increased income. In the case of regulation of private enterprise and consumption expenditure by the state, the law breaks down. Next one, propositions of the law. There are three propositions. What are they? First one, when income increases, consumption expenditure also increases, but by a smaller amount. The reason is that as income increases, our wants are satisfied side by side, so that the need to spend more on consumer goods diminishes. Second point, the increased income will be divided in some proportion between consumption expenditure and saving. This follows from the first proposition, because when the whole of increased income is not spent on consumption, the remaining is saved. In this way, consumption and saving move together. Third one, increase in income always leads to an increase in both saving and consumption. This means that increased income is unlikely to lead to fall in either consumption or saving. Table column. Table also there are three propositions and diagrammatic also three propositions. The three propositions of the law are, first one, proposition 1. See the table, income is increasing 120 to 180, 180 to 240. Consumption is also increasing from 120 to 170, 170 to 220. At the same time, saving is also increasing. 120 income is first one, income and consumption is equal. So that is called break-even point. So the second one, 180 minus 170, how much they are saving? 10. 240 to 220, they are saving 20. So first proposition that income increases by rupees 60 crores. That means income, see the income 120 to 180. So 180 minus 120, how much? 60. 60 it is increased. In consumption, how much it is increased? 120 to 170. That means 50 crores increased. Second proposition, the increased income of rupees 60 crores in each case is divided in some proposition between consumption and saving respectively, that is rupees 50 crores and rupees 10 crores. Proposition third, as income increases, consumption as well as saving also increase. Neither consumption nor saving has fallen. These are the three propositions of the law. When income increases from 120 to 180, consumption also increases from 120 to 170. But the increase in consumption is less than the increase in income. 10 is saved. Proposition 2, when income increases to 180 and 240, it is divided in some proposition between consumption by 170 and 220 and saving by 10 and 20 respectively. Proposition 3, increases in income to 180 and 240 lead to increased consumption 170 and 220 and increased saving 20 and 10 than before. It is clear from the widening area below the C curve and the saving gap between 45-degree line and C curve. Determinants of consumption function, that is subjective and objective. J.M. Keynes has divided the factors into two, subjective factors and objective factors. Subjective factors are internal factors related to psychological feelings. Here, Keynes lists 8 motives which lead individuals to refrain from spending. They are first motive is the motive for precaution. To build up a reserve against unforeseen contingencies, that means accidents or sickness, etc. Second one, the motive of foresight, the desire to provide for anticipated future needs, that means old age people or future proportion. The motive of calculation, the desire to enjoy interest and appreciation. The motive of improvement, the desire to enjoy for improving standard of living. The motive of financial independence. Next one, the motive of enterprise, desire to forward trading. The motive of pride, desire to bequeath a fortune. The motive of avarice means greedy, purely miserly instinct. So these are the 8 motives which led individuals to refrain for spending. So Keynes sums up the motives as precaution, foresight, calculation, improvement, independence, enterprise, pride, and avarice. Next one, not only individual but also the government, institutions and business corporations and firms may also consume mainly because of the following motives. What are the following 4 motives? The motive of enterprise. Here, the desire to obtain resources to carry out further capital investment without incurring debt. The motive of liquidity, the desire to secure liquid resources to meet emergencies and difficulties. The motive of improvement, the desire to secure rising income and to demonstrate successful management. Last motive is financial prudence, the desire to ensure adequate financial provision against depreciation and obsolescence and to discharge debt. So according to Keynes, the subjective factors do not change in the short run and hence consumption function remains stable in the short period. Windfall gains or losses. Unexpected changes in the stock market leading to gains or losses tend to shift the consumption function upward or downward. So students, today we discussed about the Keynes' psychological law of consumption and their proportions, determinants of consumption function, that is subjective and objective factors. Next one we continue in the next class. Thank you students.